right, so in the next segment,
Yeah.
we are now. Remember, we told the story the other day. There's a guy who I loved following his work that covers the Dodgers. His name is Blake Harris. He wrote for this big Dodger blog, which I won't name anymore because they let him go. And Blake Harris is my favorite Dodger writer. Young guy, writes a lot, does a podcast. I follow him on Twitter because I love his Dodger work. So he wrote that he was let go, that he was basically, laid off from this website.
Not even basically, like truly laid off.
Yeah, so I told him, hey, do you want to just be our insider? You come on every Thursday and we'll talk Dodgers with you. So he will. And he started his own website. Like a lot of people, everybody's going to Substack now to create like a subscription-based model. So if you go, its name is Blake Harris, B-L-A-K-E, Harris, H-A-R-R-I-S. And he's on Substack. So if you go to Substack and you just type in Blake Harris, you'll find his Dodgers stuff. So he is going to be our Dodgers insider. He's going to join us for his first appearance, his maiden voyage, at 4:40, so in about 8 minutes or so.
George, do you know that when you and I started to talk about this afternoon, I mean, I knew you had sent that tweet out last week, and then you and I were talking on the way up here. I was driving up, and I said, well, I'd like to talk to this young fella, if you don't mind, So I reached out to him. I said, hey, man, call me. And, George, we had a lovely and wonderful introductory, first impression kind of conversation. I think people are going to like this guy. I like him, at least so far.
Okay. All right. Good. So Blake is going to join us in about 8 minutes. So we were talking about the Dodgers. Dodgers get going tomorrow. We told you our friend Blake Harris, make sure you subscribe to his Substack. He is going to be our Sedano Kap Dodgers insider. Will join us every Thursday. It's 4:40 today because we're off early because of the Lakers today. But in theory, we're probably going to do 5:40 most weeks as long as Blake is good with that. Blake, thank you for joining us, man. Appreciate it.
Hey, guys. Welcome. Thank you for having me. Looking forward to talking some Dodgers with you guys.
Absolutely, as are we, because, look, we are a mile wide and an inch thick around here because we got to do a million different things and talk about a million different things.
Yeah.
I love watching the Dodgers. To me, I love baseball because I can watch it and kind of do other things. And this team is obviously very easy to root for. But, look, they've had a ton of additions this offseason. They've subtracted some players. Tell me how you feel about the flow of the additions versus the subtractions.
Yeah, I mean, this has probably been one of the busiest off seasons in recent memory for the Dodgers. I mean, the players they've lost, Corey Seager, Kenley Jansen, Max Scherzer, and a bunch of other, crucial players from last season. I mean, for a lot of teams, that would be a detrimental offseason. But you counter that by, signing Freddie Freeman, one of the best first basemen in all of baseball. They recently acquired Craig Kimbrel, who has, been one of the best closers in baseball the last 10 years. So, some really, really tough losses for the Dodgers this offseason. But the crazy thing is, and what we've seen them do in years past, they just find a way to acquire talent. And although they lost some potential future Hall of Famers, they somehow found a way to actually make their team better this offseason, which is truly remarkable considering all the players they lost.
All right, Blake, I'm going to start off because today's your first day on the show. So all my friends whose names are Blake, I call them Balake. Does everybody call you Balake?
No, nobody calls him that.
I have been getting that ever since the sketch came out when I was in high school. Everywhere.
Okay.
I mean, probably 3 out of 4 people when I meet them for the first time, or even someone that's a complete stranger, they will call me Balake. And luckily, I love it.
Yeah,
some
I think it's
people, they
hilarious.
get kind of nervous. They get nervous because I guess they don't know if I'm familiar with the sketch. But, yeah, no, I get it more than you think, and I absolutely love it. I think it's fantastic.
All right, Blake, I'm just warning you. You are encouraging him, and this will be a disaster later on. But go right ahead. Enjoy it.
Because from now on, now that I know that you like it and that people do it, now I can call you what I call my other friend's name, Blake. I can call you Balake.
Okay, go ahead.
Right,
call him Balake.
So, Balake, here's the deal. The thing I'm concerned about is this. Yes, they added Freddie Freeman, okay, but I'm still thinking to myself, I know who pitchers A, B, and C are. I heard Dave Roberts earlier today with Mason and Ireland. Go to 4 and 5. What are they going to do in the starting rotation at 4 and 5?
Yeah, I mean, for the Dodgers being as good as they are, the starting rotation certainly looks like a weak point. At this point early on in the season, it looks like they're 4-5. They're going to go with Tony Gonsolin and Andrew Heaney. Tony Gonsolin, he would probably be a number 2 or a number 3 for a majority of teams across baseball. but we haven't really seen him yet in his big league career be fully stretched out as a starter, where this is a guy you can rely on to give you 5-6 innings every time out. Certainly a really good option, but I think the Dodgers are going to be relying heavy on that bullpen early on. And Andrew Heaney, this is a guy where we've seen him pitch, in LA for the Angels the last few years. He has the potential to be a really good pitcher, has really good strikeout numbers, really low walk numbers, but he allows, I think, more home runs than any other starter out there. But if the Dodgers were able to tap into his potential and limit the long ball, I think, he'll be a pretty good number 5 option. But again, those are two big ifs with Gonsolin and with Andrew Heaney. But the good thing is the Dodgers, again, have one of the best bullpens in all of baseball, so they have that to back them up. But, yeah, I definitely was a little surprised the Dodgers didn't go and either sign a free agent or acquire a starter entering the season, because having 3 really good starters is great. But, yeah, I do have a little bit of concern with the 4 and 5, but it's a long season, so I'm sure they'll have plenty of time to figure that out by the time October rolls around.
Blake Harris with us here. He's going to be our Dodger insider here on Sedano and Kap every Thursday. Follow him on Twitter at Blake Harris. TBLA is where you find him. And check out his Substack. Make sure you subscribe there to get the latest Dodger info. And he will also have a weekly podcast, I believe, there as well. So make sure you check out all the work and support all the work that he's doing there. So let me ask you about that bullpen, though. Who do you believe, or how do you believe, they will handle the high leverage innings when it comes to that particular bullpen?
So all off season, they were talking about who's exactly going to be the go-to guy, and Kenley Jansen was a free agent. My closer now and forever. I'll always love Kenley Jansen, but the Dodgers were hesitant to pretty much explain what exactly the plan was. And once Kenley Jansen left, it kind of seemed like it was going to be a closer by committee. Essentially, they were going to play matchups, bring in Blake Trinan for the 9th, the 8th, maybe Alex Vesia. But now by acquiring Craig Kimbrel, he'll be their go-to guy in the 9th inning. And I think the Dodgers are going to do what we've seen them do in years past, where they're not going to have your prototypical setup man, not your prototypical 8th inning guy. They're just going to play it based on matchups. So I think you're going to see, a number of guys coming in unique different situations. I wouldn't be surprised to see, again, like Blake Trinan pitch a 6th inning, or whether it's pitching the 8th inning. So the Dodgers, they're really creative when it comes to this. They're one of the best teams in all of baseball when it comes to utilizing how they finish games with their bullpen. So adding Craig Kimbrel made things a lot easier. But, I think this makes the Dodgers even more deadly, because they have 3 or 4 guys that could be potential closers on any other team in baseball, and you have them coming out in the 6th, 7th, and 8th innings. So I really think the Dodgers' strength this year, I know a lot of people talk about their starting lineup, but I honestly think their bullpen actually might be their biggest strength.
I think Craig Kimbrel, by the way, everybody, if you've never really ever paid attention to him before, you're going to love the way he delivers. You know how, certain
right.
pitchers have really bizarre deliveries? Like, even Clayton Kershaw has a really strange delivery that can get super annoying. Kenley Jansen had some weird stuff that he did, weird rituals before he pitched. But Craig Kimbrel, right, Blake? This guy, the way he stands there, he hovers, he bends down, his arm hangs. You're going to be sitting there fixated on it like, what's he doing exactly? But then it's going to grow on you, and you're like, that's really weird but cool.
About a week ago, or whenever the Dodgers acquired him, I had about a 15-minute discussion with my girlfriend where we were trying to figure out how does this benefit him? Why does he do it? Because we were even trying to stand the way he does, and we're like, how does this work? But apparently, he has nearly 400 career saves, so whatever he does, it's working. But yeah, if you've never seen Craig Kimbrel's stance, either watch a Dodgers game or go to YouTube, because I guarantee it's unlike anything you've ever seen a pitcher do before.
So, all right, let's talk about this lineup, right? Everyone knows it's, everyone's sitting here talking about this incredible lineup. Jeff Passan, our colleague here at ESPN, is saying it's the best lineup he's seen perhaps in a quarter century. How can this lineup live up to the billing? What would have to be the benchmarks in regards to some of these guys that you see in this lineup? How would they meet those expectations?
Yeah, ever since especially the Freddie Freeman signing, you've been seeing, these top guys saying, is this the greatest lineup, we've ever seen? Is this the greatest lineup in the history of baseball? So already, they have a tough standard to live up to. I think for the most part, just as long as they're able to stay healthy, I think that there are going to be no problems with this lineup, because we've seen in years past, especially last year, there was a stretch where the Dodgers were rolling out a 1 through 9 of 5 or 6 guys that should have been minor leaguers. and that was affecting the numbers, that was affecting the lineup. So as long as they're able to stay healthy, and obviously over the course of a 162-game season, you're not going to have all 9 guys in your starting lineup healthy throughout the entire year. But as long as they're able to keep, 7 or so of their main guys healthy in that starting lineup, I think it's really going to be beneficial for them, because when you have these guys that are, so familiar with certain spots in the batting order, having certain guys hitting before or behind them, I think it really does affect them mentally, where they know, okay, Trey Turner's on second. All I got to do is hit a single, and he's going to score. So I think as long as they're able to stay healthy and have, that familiarity, I think it's going to be really beneficial for the Dodgers. And, it's tough to put predictions on lineups, but assuming everything goes right, I think this starting lineup is going to set major league records in regards to scoring, hits, home runs, because 1 through 9, you can make the case all 9 of these guys could be all-stars, in 2022. So it really is a scary lineup, and hopefully we get to see them fully healthy for a majority of the season.
George, Blake here seems like a pretty cool guy, doesn't he? You like him?
Yes, Balake, as you like to call him.
Yeah, Balake. He seems like a pretty nice guy, right? Making his first appearance on the show, seems like a good guy, right?
Yeah, and clearly he knows what the hell he's talking about more than you and I, that's for sure.
Well, that's why we brought him on. So I'm talking to him off air earlier today, kind of getting a little acquainted. And I asked him, I say, so what are you, man? Are you like a lifelong Dodger fan? This was your dream to kind of cover the team? And he said to me, he goes, hey, I don't mean to make you feel old, but yeah, since the early 2000s, I've been following this team for a really long time. And I was like, oh, dude. Like it was very nice, Blake. I mean, you tried to let me down nicely, that you're such a young guy covering the team. Thank you for that.
Hey, I had to do what I had to do. I mean, you're young at heart, and that's all that matters.
It's true, man. I tell everybody I'm millennial. This is my guy right here now, George.
Yeah. You and Balake are going to be all in lockstep. All of a
you
sudden.
Don't even understand.
You know what, Balake? You'll be rolling your eyes soon enough when he sits there and he's 55 years old or whatever the hell he is, trying to talk like his 19-year-old kid. So,
well, I'll just say this, Blake. I'll just say this. I think Freddie Freeman is going to slay. I think that Mookie Betts is lit. And I think that Cody Bellinger is going to have a year that is fire. That's all I'm saying.
You're so stupid.
That was spot on. And, I mean, I would think you're one of the boys right now after hearing that. I mean, you sound like one of the boys right now.
See? I get it. See that, George?
Yeah, I mean, I guess. I think that everyone is always curious about you at first, and then they realize, oh, my God, it's just Cap being Cap. But, this is why we love you, to be honest with you.
Appreciate that.
All right, so real quick, one last thing before we let you go, and thank you so much. Again, follow him on Twitter, at Blake Harris, TBLA is where you find him on Twitter, and he's got his new website up. It's on Substack, so just go to Substack or blakeharris.substack.com, or go to Substack and just type in Blake Harris in the search, and you'll find it. Does the Substack have an actual name, though?
No, I'm not great with tech and everything, so I don't think there's an actual official name. I call it Think and Blue with Blake Harris, but I don't think I can have a creative domain or anything like that. So, yeah, I guess Blake Harris Substack, but then again, there are people that are much smarter with this stuff than me, but hopefully next time I can figure it out. But yeah,
listen, Substack is a great listen. My guy Mark Stein, who worked for us at ESPN, has this huge Substack going on.
How about
right
Kareem
now?
Abdul-Jabbar? I mean, everything that Kareem does, he writes on Substack.
Everybody's going there,
yeah.
So it's the right place to be. Trust me, you're doing that right. All right, last thing on the lineup, Cody Bellinger. Do you believe last year was an anomaly? Because baseball's cruel, man. It can do that to you. Or do you believe the Dodgers have something really to be concerned about?
It really is tough because last year Cody Bellinger, he was dealing with numerous injuries, so I don't think he ever really got going. And again, in baseball, it's tough to explain to people that have never played. But, I mean, I really do think it's the toughest game out there. I think it's the most difficult mentally because it's hard to do. I mean, essentially, if you do your job 3 out of 10 times, that's not great, but that's actually fantastic in baseball. So I think for him, last year was just trying to recover from injuries. In the postseason, he was, one of the Dodgers' best hitters. I mean, he turned things around, and he was looking like the former MVP. I know a lot of people have been kind of on him this spring, really looking in depth on screen training numbers. I wouldn't be concerned. I know he's been working with a couple of swings, and that's the whole part of spring training, work things out, see what works. So I'm not too concerned. Hopefully for Cody Bellinger, he can recapture what he did in the postseason last year. He can recapture what he did a couple years ago because when he's going, I mean, he's one of the top 15, top 20 players in all of baseball. And I'm not worried on him. And, even if he's not what he was at the plate a couple years ago, he's still a Gold Glove center fielder, which, that is something that is really crucial for the Dodgers. So I think he's going to have a bounce-back season. I don't think he's going to put up MVP-like numbers that he did a couple years ago, but I definitely think he's the kind of guy that can hit 20, 25 home runs, have an on-base percentage that's, at a pretty good level. So I'm hopeful. Cody Bellinger, I think he's going to have a bounce-back season. And, again, if Cody Bellinger is the Dodgers' 7th or 6th best player in the starting lineup, that's a really good problem to have. So I believe in Cody Bellinger this year.
Blake Harris will join us every week, so we're gonna set in on it. Balake, we're gonna set in on a time, probably 5:40 on Thursdays. But today we're off early today because of the Lakers game. But Blake Harris, TBLA, is where you find him on Twitter. Go to his Substack, blakeharris.substack.com. All the great writers are flocking to Substack, so he's one of them, and he'll be there. Trust me, you want Dodgers information, this is our guy, and he will be your guy too. Blake, thank you for the time. We'll talk to you again next week, pal.
Really appreciate it, guys. Have a good weekend.
Later, dog.
You got it, man. You too.